I would say that it is the proudest. Yeah, I mean, if I have some, if there's a portion of my work that I'm most proud of, it's like I think we had some hand in. I don't want to overstate my role in it, but I think I had some hand in bringing Warren Jeffs to justice and bringing about some very significant change in what was a very closed, abusive community up in Colorado City and Hilldale, Utah. So, and if I had a hand in that, I'm good with that. That's good enough for me.
Well, because one of your chapters is called "Sins of Our Fathers." So I guess you grew up Mormon with polygamous ancestors. So
right. Well, and maybe that's why I pursued it as long as I did. I grew up in the culture, and grew up in Salt Lake City. Both my wife and I have polygamous ancestors, which is, and if your family was Mormon and you can trace the roots back 2 or 3, 4 generations, odds are you're going to have polygamous in the background. Mm-hmm. And just I think growing up there and sort of knowing the truth as opposed to the myth, the realities as opposed to the PR of communities like Colorado City. I sort of knew how they worked, and I knew that there was significant abuse of women and children at the base of it, no matter, and how they tried to gussy it up with just the prairie dresses and simple lifestyle. There was some real abusive, systematic, stuff that had been developed in that community. And there's no community like Colorado City. It really was such a unique, isolated cult. It was a community completely run by a cult from every layer of government, the water to the utilities to the land to the police and it made for a tough nut to crack, to track down some of the leaders and bring them to justice. And then to get a federal jury here in Phoenix to go in and say, basically, the corruption is so profound, we got to get somebody in there to change things up. That's happened. And in many ways, I was talking to somebody who's doing some work up there now today, and they're talking about a brew pub. I don't know if you know the ethos of Mormons, and they don't drink beer, but there's now a brew pub called the Edge of the World or Edge of the Earth Brew Pub in Colorado City, Utah, or Colorado City, Arizona, Hilldale, Utah. And that is, I can't tell you how, that's like light coming on the dark side of the moon. So I'm pleased that the community's more open up. I'm pleased that Jeffs is in prison for life. And if we had a small hand in that, we entice a woman to marry any of these clowns. But that aside, my criticism, my critique of the LDS or the FLDS has tried to never been about sex. I don't what adults want to do, and if a handful of women, adult women, want to have a relationship with one of these hayseeds, these knuckleheads, but do not force your children. Do not marry off your daughters at 12 years old to make sure that they do the same thing. Don't deprive them of education. Don't expel your teenage sons because they become competent. I don't give a rat's ass what consenting adults do behind closed doors. And I hope that my work on the FLDS has never brought in that sort of pious morality, because I don't bring it in. I'm not passing judgment. But when you start preying on little children and abusing women and kids on the scale that they were doing the industrial scale they were doing down at Colorado City, I'm going to come kick your goddamn door down. And that's what I did. And it has nothing to do with what adults are doing behind closed doors. I don't give a shit. Bang!